Let's roll through the MLB postseason. We will have our predictions here on the show for how we think this is going to transpire, who's going to win these wild card rounds, who's going to advance, DSCS World Series. We're going to run through it all here on today's show, and then we'll see, obviously, how it transpires as the first playoff game about a couple of hours here before that is underway, less than a couple of hours before that is underway. So very, very exciting time of the year as well. So we'll start with the one that everybody wants to talk about, obviously, is the Reds and the Dodgers. Look, obviously, you see my shirt, right? On this show, I'm trying to make it a situation where we're not going to be biased about certain teams, even the local teams, which obviously, I'm a fan of the Reds and the Bengals. Everybody that's tuned in understands that here at this point. But maybe this is me just being overly optimistic about the Cincinnati Reds, but I think they're going to find a way to win the series. I really do. I think they're going to win it in 3. I don't think they're going to, win it in 2. I think they pick up a win tonight with Hunter Green. I think he takes them out. I think he's really, really excellent. I think the Reds find a way to score a couple of more runs than the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think they drop tomorrow. They get after Littell a little bit. They go to the pen. They get roughed up a little bit there. And to be honest with you, I'm not so sure that tomorrow night's game here at this point is going to be very competitive. And then I think they go out there with Andrew Abbott and win it in Game 3 in advance to play the Philadelphia Phillies. Cubs are at home against the Padres. They kind of stumbled into the playoffs, which when you're talking Major League Baseball, it's all about getting hot at the right time. You could say that obviously about every sport there as well. I wouldn't say the Cubs are necessarily getting hot at the right time, but I do have a lot of belief in the Chicago Cubs. I don't have a lot of belief in their manager, but just the roster in which they have. I think they'll be able to find ways to come up with clutch hits. I think they're going to play good defense. They have some guys that have some experience there as well. Padres obviously have been a team that has had some success in the playoffs here to this point, and wouldn't surprise me at all if they did. I think the winner of this series, by the way, is going to knock off the Milwaukee Brewers, but I am going to take the Chicago Cubs to win this series again. Even if the Padres win, I think the Padres are going to win again. Coin flip here in this series. Pivetta going tonight. Good chance the Cubs could find themselves down 0-1, but I think Chicago is going to find a way at home at Wrigley to win that series and move on. Tigers and Guardians, flipping things over to the American League. The Tigers, for the beginning and middle parts of this year, looked like the best team in baseball, and then they just kind of completely fell off a cliff. The Guardians get on this crazy run, and they absolutely hunt them down, and because of that, that means this game is in Cleveland and not in Detroit. But Scooble's on the mound. I think tonight or today, the Tigers are going to win this game, and then I think they're going to find a way to win one of the next 2. To be completely honest with you, the Guardians, they're surging. They're getting hot at the right time. I don't see a way in which the Guardians beat Scooble today in this spot. I think he's going to be nails for him. Obviously, he's one of the best pitchers in the game, if not the best, and I think the Tigers find a way to win this series as the 6th seed on the road and advance. And I also have another upset in the American League. I think the Boston Red Sox are going to take care of the New York Yankees. The Yankees, for much of Aaron Boone's tenure of being the manager for New York, has really, really struggled in the postseason. It was, the Yankees, they're going to win a bunch of games in the regular season, they're going to get to the postseason, and they're going to choke. And then they proved that wrong last year as they went on a little bit of run, but obviously got blown out in the World Series by the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I think they kind of revert back to some old habits here. I think Crochet Fried, come on, what a pitching matchup. That should, you would think, be a low-scoring game. I'm going to side with Crochet as it relates to that pitching matchup, to be completely honest with you. And I think the Red Sox are going to go into New York, pull off an upset, and take down the New York Yankees. So that is the wild card round here at this point, and let's move to the divisional side of things here. The Reds, obviously, if they beat the Dodgers, that means they're playing the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think the run ends. I think the Reds snap their streak, right? They get that post-series win. They advance. They have another champagne celebration in Los Angeles, and I think that momentum kind of runs out against Philly. You got to be careful with these teams getting the time off when they get the bye and they don't have to play in the wild card round. You've seen it in recent years. Obviously, Baltimore last year, I thought Baltimore was going to, win the World Series last year, to be completely honest with you, and then they just looked inept offensively. The Phillies are having an inter-squad scrimmage, I believe. They're going to be selling tickets, just try to keep the juices flowing, the competitive juices flowing, keep the bats going there as well. So always have a pause for concern in Major League Baseball when a team has a bye. But I think Philly, they got too many bats. They pitch well too, right? And I just think, Cincinnati, that run is going to end a little bit. There'll be a postseason game, though, here in Cincinnati, which should be very, very exciting. But I have the Phillies defeating the Reds and advancing. Maybe the Reds pick up a game in that series. We'll see. But I think the Phillies handle them relatively easily and move on. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, I hope the Reds continue to win games. But I will go with the Phillies here in this round. I said whoever wins, Padres and Cubs, is beating the Brewers. I still believe that. The Brewers obviously had the best record in baseball. They've had regular season success in the past, but this team cannot win in the postseason. We'll see if it's different with a different manager, which, funnily enough, they're going against a guy that couldn't win for them as their manager, and Craig Counsell. He's the Cubs guy. Do I feel great? I mean, that's the one that to me is just Cubs, Padres. I don't know. I went with the Cubs. I think either team is going to beat the Milwaukee Brewers. So in this case, I have the Cubs, despite the fact they kind of they didn't back in the playoffs, but played bad down the stretch to get into the postseason. I have them defeating the Milwaukee Brewers and advancing there. Now the Mariners, who have the best odds, I think, to win the World Series, which, I get it. That pitching staff is incredible. Cal Raleigh, of course, is putting balls over the fence at an absurd rate. They're a really, really good baseball team. Again, you kind of have that thing. It's like, well, you're sitting there. How are the bats going to translate? You see a lot of upsets in MLB postseason because, those buys, man, they're tough. You play 162 games. You're basically playing every single day, and then it's like, okay, we're going to stop. We're going to celebrate, all right, that we got in. Now we're just going to stop, and then we're going to have to pick right back up against a team that their season didn't pause at all. They're still going. So there's some cause for concern there, but I just think, they're a better baseball team than Detroit here at this point. Outmatched from a pitching standpoint. They got some really good hitters there as well. And they're just a fun team. Seattle really, really is. And I think they take care of business and beat the Detroit Tigers. Now, the 1 seed, the Toronto Blue Jays, in my bracket here, would face the Boston Red Sox. And that kind of is a fun area of the bracket, right? Because it's, the AL East, right? You got 3 teams that, solid teams, obviously, Red Sox, Yankees, and the Blue Jays. I've got Toronto handling business against the Red Sox. I think Toronto is really, really good. I went to a game when they were here in Cincinnati, top to bottom. They're really good. The biggest thing for them is injuries, right? You have Bichette, who is expected to be good to go. I think that's the plan. He had that knee sprain that kind of cost him the end of that season in the regular season. You got Ty France, who's kind of a clutch, utility backup player, not an everyday guy, but he's good off the bench. He's on the IL. Bassett as well, one of their arms. So really injuries is the only concern for me as it relates to Toronto, but I think they take care of business and beat the Red Sox. All right, so that means I got the 2 seed, the Phillies, and the 4 seed, the Chicago Cubs, and the NLCS, and the 1 seed Blue Jays, and the 2 seed Mariners. A little chalky there on the AL side of things. We'll start with the NL. I think the Cubs, getting into that series, it feels like they overachieved if they're able to get that far and win 2 series. Again, I've said this several times, but good chance this is the Padres as well in this series. And I think Philly is able to take care of business. They've had a lot of success in the postseason. That ballpark, Citizens Bank Park, when you watch that on TV, that to me embodies the MLB playoffs, right? When I see a postseason game in Philly, that ballpark, that environment on TV is just absolutely awesome. No disrespect to any of the other venues, but home game for the Phillies late in October, it really doesn't get any better than that. They've got guys that have been there, done that, obviously, on their team. They can hit the ball over the fence, timely hitting. It's a veteran group. And really with them, it's just like, all right, when are you going to win the World Series? Like, you've been here, you've won a ton of games, you won a ton of postseason games. When are you going to break through and win a World Championship? I think they get an opportunity to do so and advance to the World Series after defeating the Chicago Cubs. I think the Blue Jays beat the Mariners. Talked about the Mariners rotation, but I think the Blue Jays rotation is really, really good there as well. Picking up Shane Bieber is really, really big. Gossman certainly could throw the baseball really, really well there as well. And I just trust the bats of Toronto a little bit more in that series. So that means I have the Blue Jays and the Phillies. Again, do you feel great about a team that has a bye, that is not playing baseball, and a team, by the way, that has some very, very key injuries? Probably not, but I've been really impressed with Toronto has been able to do this year. I really, really have, and I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to say that they're going to win the World Championship here. It's been an unbelievable year for them. George Springer, I mean, that guy's unbelievable. That guy's just a solid, solid player. I mean, what he was able to do in Houston, and, obviously what he's been able to do here for Toronto in a lot of ways has helped carry that offense. Plays a great center field there as well. If he picks up another one, I think we're talking about him as a Hall of Fame type of guy. Really, really good player. The catcher, Alejandro Kirk, I mean, he's a great player. And the fact that he can hit high up in their lineup too and deliver, he's clutch. Really good player there as well. Varsho now is playing center field, and they got Springer at a corner spot typically. But Varsho's really good defensively. He can do some big things. Vlad Guerrero Jr., we haven't even mentioned him yet there as a big-time bat for them as well. They can pitch. As I mentioned, guys that they have in their rotation, I trust them. Veteran guys, been there, done that. And I just think it's Toronto's year, and that is my prediction here at this point. I think the Toronto Blue Jays take care of business and win the World Series as the number 1 seed in the AL. Obviously, I hope I am wrong. I hope it is the Cincinnati Reds. But, we'll go with the Toronto Blue Jays as my World Series pick.